In this episode of MPTV, we sit down with Kerry, a fishtail grill, to talk about how her and her husband transitioned from a family business that was a fish market to a retail side, a take and bake, but also an amazing restaurant with this huge patio. We're going to talk about a couple things they experienced during the lockdown, how they comforted their employees, came together as a team, and survived like never before. Let's go find out. Hey, what's up? It's Matt. We're back with another episode of MPTV. We're in Cape Coral, Florida, and we're at a unique restaurant that's got a couple different sides of the business. We're going to talk to the owner, Kerry, of Fishtail Grill. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. By the way, I love the atmosphere, the vibe, the look and touch.
Thank you.
I walked in and I said, you can tell that a guy wasn't in charge of this. So sometimes you can tell that. We deal with restaurants nationwide, and when you walk in, you can see, yeah, I would have done that. I wouldn't have done any of this because this is why it looks good.
Oh, you're too funny.
So tell us about yourself and the business.
Well, we started the restaurant probably about 9-10 years ago, and we were working over here in the fish market, and we kind of expanded into the restaurant space next door with the intention of just doing a lunch spot. We were actually just going to open from 11 to 4 and be done, because I had always been in the restaurant business. I wanted to go home at 4 o'clock. But the funny thing is, we opened up for lunch. We put a couple tables for people to wait, and the funny thing was, people started sitting down, ready to eat. And we were just prepared for takeout, so we didn't have any plates, we didn't have any silverware, we didn't have salt and pepper shakers. So we started serving the lunches actually on the fish trays that we were serving over here. So we were bringing them out on fish platters that we had used. And eventually it evolved into a full restaurant, expanded through the next space next door. We put some decks on, and it's been a full-time restaurant ever since.
It's a gorgeous spot. I love when we pulled up and we came around the corner, I didn't know where we were coming. And I'm like, that looks awesome.
Well, thank you.
The vibe, when I think about like our backyard at our house, we're in northern Kentucky, so we don't get the sunshine all the time and the warmth. But our backyard has the aquas, the blues. My wife has it because she loves palm trees, loves the beach, and so it's all meant to look like that. And when I pull up here, I'm like, man, she wouldn't leave the patio.
Yeah, it's actually a nice space outside, and usually like we're very busy on the weekends, and it's like a fun place. We have live music at night and on the weekends as well.
So your background, you came from New York, correct?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Long Island, New York, and actually Merrick Seafood actually started in Merrick, Long Island.
Okay.
My family came down here 30 years ago to open the seafood market from Merrick, Long Island. And then again, everybody thinks we're the Merrick family, but it really is Merrick in Merrick, Long Island.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so you took over the seafood market, you and your husband?
Yeah, my husband and I had always been in the restaurant business back in New York. He was a caterer back in New York City, and I had always worked in really high-end fancy restaurants in New York. I've done everything from the front of the house to manage to waitress, bartender, and now basically chef in the kitchen.
Okay. Now when you expanded from, because you have the market here, and you said you also have the wholesale side of the business?
So the wholesale side, believe it or not, we have a huge warehouse in the back, and we have 5 delivery trucks. We service over 250 restaurants throughout Lee and Collier County. And basically the whole fish comes in the morning. It's filleted in the back of the house. We have 4 fish cutters. They come in at 5 a.m. They start filleting the fish. It goes out to the restaurants all throughout here. It makes its way to the fish market, which we have a fresh fish side, and then a side that does we make, you bake.
Okay.
And then it comes over to the restaurant. The nice thing about our restaurant is we don't have to pre-order. I can just walk into the back and pick whatever kind of fish I would like. It kind of gives us the advantage to keep the prices down in the restaurant as well.
What has been the biggest challenge when you went from this part of the business to you worked in the restaurant business, now you have a giant restaurant here. You've got 2 outdoor patios, you've got a small dining room.
Well, I think going from a staff the size of 20 to the staff of the size of 70 and the overlap of the businesses, it's really my husband and myself. So it's challenging at times being able to balance. We also have 2 young kids, 7.5, 9.5, so it keeps us on our toes. But I feel like the key to really successful business is really like your staff, bringing in a really good crew, making sure you take care of them, they take care of you, you take care of them, kind of vice versa. and it kind of helps.
Yeah.
And you got to have fun while you're here too. We're all here for the whole time. We got to make it fun. So.
Yeah. Well, I saw a sign in a restaurant today that said something about the beach, and it said rules of the beach, the rules of living on the beach. Wake up with a smile,
Yeah.
hang up your beach towel, put your feet in the sand, and
Yeah.
watch the sunset.
Yeah. You got to just go with the flow. You can be angry all day long, or you can make the best of it. So we try to have a positive working atmosphere, and for the most part, most of our employees have been here with us a long time, and it makes it fun.
Do you see a big difference from the type of employees and the atmosphere from New York to here? Because I mean, it's a lot more chill down here. Now, granted, nobody's from here, so there's a lot of New Yorkers down here.
You know what? I don't know if I would say people so much are different. I think the work ethic is a little bit different, but I think I've adjusted my expectations a little bit. It's just a little different. When
Yeah.
I had come down here, you're running all the time up there. Down here, it's a little bit slower. I had to get used to that, like, let's go. But, I've evened out in 12 years, so it's okay.
So 2020 was an interesting year, and we're just now,
Say the least.
say this least, we're just now starting to maybe come out of it. Depends where you're at in the country.
Yeah.
I always tell my kids, I have, I guess they're almost 19 and 17 now, that
Oh, nice.
out of all bad comes good.
Yeah.
What was a big takeaway for you? Something that maybe your business wasn't doing before, that the shutdowns, all the restrictions shows you something you could do better and improve upon in the future?
I think it was almost like you had to reinvent yourself. I don't know if there was something that we could do better. We really had to reinvent our business model the way it was. It kind of was busier in one area than it was in the other. Some areas of the business are down. More so wholesale had come down. The restaurant is busier than it's ever been. So we've done a lot more takeout. Just catering, I think, to customers' needs. It's been an adjustment, to say the least.
Yeah.
We have had people, with the curbside and won't come in the door. And I mean, it's challenging, but I think at the end of the day, for me, it's made me a little bit more grounded. To really appreciate every day, I think so. Like that was, it was a tough time closing the doors, you know what I mean? But when we came back, it was like we're coming back bigger than ever, and everybody that has made it through, we've made it through so much together as a team. We had to lay off 22 people at the time, and then everything was shut, so it was not a good time. But I'm grateful now, and again, we're just also happy we're here. We're happy we're in Florida. We have a great governor, because some of the places in the rest of the country are suffering big time. But we're just grateful every day where we're at, and that we made it through. It was a terrible time.
What did you do communication-wise early on? I know in my company's a little different. We didn't have to lay anybody off. We hired people, but we were also helping restaurants, because a lot of restaurants like, hey, Matt, we know you do this. Help us find people.
Yeah.
But I told my employees up front, we have 28 now, but back then I think we were probably around 17. I said, hey, nobody's getting laid off. Nobody's getting fired.
Yeah.
Here's where we're at, and we got a year of money to pay you guys if the things go bad. And it was comforting to them.
Yeah.
What did you do from a standpoint of talking to your employees during that time to at least give them some peace of mind?
We were in communication a lot. We had a lot of different things. We did do takeout. They had come in. We had some different drive-by birthdays on the desks. We did our best to find them work, whether it was painting or cleaning or whatever we could do to kind of make it through. But yeah, I don't know. That time was, I don't even.
Yeah, well, like I always tell my kids, what makes us weaker makes us stronger.
Yeah, it did make us stronger, that's for sure. And a lot of us, I think, kind of came a lot closer after it. Whatever we could do during that time to help. Some situations were worse than others. Some of the people were expecting children, and it was.
Yeah.
We came through it a much tighter group of people.
Yeah.
I feel like we have a great team now, and we're all grateful for one another, and we can do amazing things together. So.
Okay, break time. Restaurant owners, you're watching MPTV, so you're obviously interested in increasing your sales and profits. But what if I told you could eliminate the hope and pray out of your marketing? You could spend money and actually see results. Most marketing starts with attention, like a billboard. The problem is that attention leads nowhere. That's why we created the ROI Engine Restaurant Program. We take attention and gain huge engagement, whether it's in-store or online. We help you build a database with deep customer information that's comprised of email, cell phone, and birthday. And then we drive them into the restaurant with trackable results. Yes, results you can actually see. If you're interested and want to have a conversation, check out restaurantmarketingthatworks.com. Worst case scenario, you get a lot of great ideas. Now back to the show. Now, shifting to some of the stuff you talked about, curbside, takeout, things that were new. Was the take and bake section here before that, or was that?
So this section was always here,
Okay.
but I think that the need for it became much larger once the pandemic had hit. So this side of the business exploded, so we were busy before, but we're much busier now because we basically have a full section of We Make You Bake.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people that would come in for that, but yeah.
Are you depending on that to become a bigger part of the business and keep growing with the company and pick up everything else, or do you think that will go back down?
No, I think that will always continue to grow. We're always looking to get more creative and grow however we can, but it has such potential to be even bigger if we had more time and energy. So.
Yeah, I've talked to a few restaurateurs. I talked to one the other day. He said, Matt, him and his wife were talking. They said, for 4 months we didn't have a dining room. They were shut down for 4 months. He said, but what was weird? We were up 18%. He's like, so we went from 90% dine-in a year ago to no dine-in.
That's crazy.
And because we pivoted, our team got around it, we rallied, we marketed. Yep. He's like, now I'm looking at it, okay, as our dining room packs the rest of this year, how do we grow the rest of the business, keep growing that?
Yeah, it definitely changes. Not to interrupt you, Matt, this is my husband over here.
Oh.
I'm going to pull him over real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
He's going to say hello. He's probably going to kill me, but
How long have you guys been married?
almost 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah, and funny enough, we've always worked together. We met and we started working back in New York together bartending. We were always like the husband and wife team. So the nice thing is I run that side, he runs this side. So that's how we don't step on each other's
Well,
toes.
your idea does work. I've got a friend of mine, Shaheen, in Cincinnati, that had the crazy restaurant life, came back to Cincinnati, and opened up a couple
Hey, babe,
restaurants.
come here.
Hello, guys.
This is Patrick. This is
Matt.
Matt.
Nice to meet you.
How are you? How's it going? Good?
Good.
Am I rolling here?
We're rolling. But yeah, one of my friends in Cincinnati, Shaheen, has a concept. It's closed right now because downtown Cincinnati is still kind of closed where he's at.
Okay.
But he had the same idea you did, where he was only wanted to be open lunch.
Yeah.
Late breakfast, lunch, so at night. How is that for you and your husband both being involved with 2 young kids?
In the beginning, when we first started the business, it was tough because we were here double shifts and we weren't here 6-7 days. We're fortunate enough now that we're able to kind of, work mainly on the day side of things, not necessarily weekends, which we're fortunate. We're at football and cheer, pretty much throughout the week. But it was challenging in the beginning. But now, like I said, we have a really good crew in place, which, we're fortunate we don't have to be here 24/7.
Yeah, because that's what a lot of restaurant owners I deal with talk about. They got a husband and wife involved in the business. They have kids. I've got a daughter that cheers in college. I've got a son that plays football, and I'm like, well, my job doesn't end all day, but I also don't have a restaurant with consumers waiting for me at 7, 8, 9 o'clock. It's a tough juggling.
It's good. I think when you have good people in place, I have great managers, I have great staff. Again, we have a lot of people here that we can trust. And I'm fortunate enough for that. That's allowed us to basically step back just a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Restaurant owners, did you know Matt has free online marketing courses that teach you how to successfully market your restaurant? Email support@mattplapp.com to get access to the courses and a free social media content calendar.
Okay, so I always end the podcast with a question. Put you on the spot. It's an easy one. And I think I might know the answer because of the kids, but as an entrepreneur, it's tough to turn it off. And I always call it airplane mode, that when you get your phone, I had to get on the airplane to fly down here, I turn it off so I don't crash the plane.
Yeah.
What do you do when you leave here to get on airplane mode so that you can kind of put this behind and focus on those 2 little ones or life?
I don't know if you can ever shut the button off. Between my husband and I, there's always a phone call, someone's always needing something, but I think that we've just learned to adjust when the kids are around, that we have to put the cell phones away, and this has to be the priority. They're still little. It's just, I think, finding that balance however you can. And in this business, it's multitasking at its best. It's the same when we're at home or we're here or wherever. It's just, we do the best we can to maintain and try to decompress when we can. So
Well, I appreciate your time.
it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. And that's all we got for this episode of MPTV. You thought you had it bad with a restaurant. Restaurant, retail, wholesale. This lady and her husband do it all. We'll see you next episode.